And thank you for joining us here on PM Express. Tonight, a big conversation. It's really linked somehow to the WAEC examinations that has become very controversial. The teacher unions tonight have all come together to ask and demand the closure of the schools. But government is going ahead. One of the things that they need to do before the WAEC exams, both at the basic and at the senior high school level, is satisfy a condition that WAEC plays before the various countries in the region, which is provide students with maths sets. Now, that has become controversial in Parliament. Government is spending 63 million cedis to purchase the maths set. But even more controversially, the government has decided to give a tax waiver worth more than $3 million to the private company that is facilitating the importation of the maths set. And that is becoming some controversy. Now, in the last few days, it has generated some controversy in Parliament. And we know that the minority isn't happy. The exact number of maths sets is 853,000 units of the maths sets, and it's a CAPEX scientific mathematical instrument, and it comes with a calculator. Now, they are according to government and what WAEC itself has specified, it is to help eliminate examination malpractices in the country. Now, if you look at what has happened in terms of the Parliament Finance Committee, which examined this particular proposal, scrutinized it, they maintain that the two-in-one functionality of the instrument, two-in-one simply means it's a math set that includes the instrument, but also has a calculator. They say that is cheaper. It's a cheaper alternative and will help improve the rating of the certificate issued by the examination body, plus boost confidence in the nation's educational system. I will show you how that master looks like in the course of this particular show. The minority has concerns, though. The minority in Parliament is questioning the cost of the mathematical sets. Currently, the unit cost is 75 cedis for one mathematical set. They say that is too much for the state to bear. Now, the group has also expressed disappointment over the sole source contract that was given to MS Bluegrass Group Limited without the participation of other local companies. So this company is simply facilitating the importation of the math sets from the CAPEC company. And of course, they won the contract and they are going to get the tax waivers to bring the instruments in. Now, the minority is demanding a value for money transaction between the Education Ministry and, of course, the private company, because they believe that it's just too much in terms of how much you intend to spend on it. Now, there are other tax waivers, though. So this is the first of the controversial issues, the most controversial. But this week, in the last few days, there have been several tax waivers that Parliament has had to consider, which in itself is raising a bit more eyebrows in some of these particular areas. There's a $6.1 million tax waiver approved for purchase of devices for monitoring weather and earthquakes, which again has raised some questions about why we chose to do this. But this is particularly interesting and important because we all know in the last few weeks there have been some tremors, and of course it's become absolutely critical that we secure them. And the only question is about whether we have to do it using a tax waiver. We'll try and get into that tonight also and look into it. The other tax waivers that have also come up is this huge 878,000 tax waiver for the construction of GRA IT Training Academy project also, which has become controversial. So, of course, tonight we'll spend some significant time trying to understand this curious case of the 63 million CD Marset deal, which is generating a fair bit of controversy. My guests will join me after the break. Stay with me. Thank you for joining us here on PM Express. My guest joining me is Sam Okudito-Ablakwa. He's a former Deputy Education Minister, and he is the MP for Northern constituency, and joins me on the telephone line from his constituency. Also joining me tonight is Anthony Efa. He is a member, Finance Committee of Parliament, and MP for Sukuma Dobin Brakwa. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. Let me start with you, Mr. Anthony Efa. What really is a justification for giving the tax waiver to a private company that, of course, will be making some significant margins, we can assume, on this particular contract and deal? Why must we do this? Why must we give them the tax incentive? Hello, Mr. Efa, can you hear me? Kindly, I'm pretty sure that you've muted your Zoom connection to us. If you may kindly unmute it. We can bring in Sam Okudito-Ablakwa. Hopefully he can hear me. Hello, Mr. Okudito-Ablakwa, can you hear me?
Hi, I can hear you. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. You have issues with this particular deal. What exactly are your concerns?
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to all our viewers. So there are a number of concerns that I raise on the floor so far as this particular deal is concerned. The more fundamental one is that I took the view during the debate that these are basic equipment. I mean, these very basic scientific mathematical instruments that I didn't think that at this level of our development, we should still be importing these items, which we are going to be distributing to senior high school students. I mean, this is so basic. I have seen a lot of Ghanaian companies develop even more advanced science learning tools, science learning aids here in Ghana. And I am disappointed that our government did not explore ways of supporting Ghanaian businesses to help manufacture these items here. Even if we were going for an arrangement that allowed us to assemble these very, very basic scientific and mathematical instruments, that will have been better. So that's the fundamental issue. The second concern, which I raised during the debate, is the penchant to really engage in sole sourcing when you have so many other companies that are importing these scientific and mathematical instruments. So if you do not want to engage a Ghanaian company that manufactures this here in Ghana so that you can grow industry, you can create jobs for the youth, at least let there be some competitive tendering process so that we can get value for money. Our government did not do that. The report that was presented by the Ministry of Finance to the Finance Committee, and which report was submitted to plenary, indicates that the Ministry of Education just signed an agreement with Messrs. Bluegrass Company Limited on a sole sourcing basis. So they wrote to the Public Procurement Authority for approval. And I am disappointed that the Public Procurement Authority will grant an approval to the Ministry of Education to engage in sole sourcing when, one, there is no emergency, two, there is no expertise which, if you like, is limited to Messrs. Bluegrass or the CAPEC company in producing these scientific mathematical instrument. As I told you earlier, this is so basic. I've looked at the specifications. There's nothing so special about these equipments that you couldn't open it up for competitive tendering so that the prices will be brought down in a competitive arrangement that at the end of the day, Ghana then gets value for money. The third concern, which we in the minority have with this agreement, relates to the fact that if you look at the cost, because this was really sole sourced, Ghana could not engage in competitive negotiations to really drive down the price. We are told that the unit price for this CAPEX scientific mathematical instrument is 75 Ghana cedis for a company that is receiving tax waivers. And that per the agreement, we are told that per the agreement that has been signed with the the company, that is more specifically Section 4 of Clause 32.1 of the agreement the Minister of Education signed with Messrs. Bluegrass, they are not to pay any taxes whatsoever, no taxes at all. And so one wonders why, for such a really, sweetheart deal, which is so juicy, why they would not pay taxes at all, and so Ghana would then be shortchanged. Ghana does not benefit in any way, apart from the fact that the students get to use this scientific and mathematical instrument, which we believe that we could afford more value for money. And remember that there is no value for money report. We demanded to see a value for money report in Parliament. There is no such report in existence because it was not carried out. So these are the concerns that we have been raising about this matter. And what is significant is that if you look at the 2019 State of the Nation address by His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, he promised that he will do everything in his power to reduce the quantum of tax waivers that Ghana continues to give out to so many companies. And unfortunately, since making that pledge in the 2019 State of the Nation address, the message on the State of the Nation, the president has not lived up to the pledge he made. And every day we go to Parliament, we are called upon to approve these tax waivers. And we are concerned about how it is leading to massive revenue losses, and we will not get the kind of revenue we need to develop this country if we continue on this trajectory. So
let's break the issues down, and we're still working to try and fix the Zoom connection to Mr. Efa. But let's break the issues down. Let's start with the value for money and whether we got a good deal in terms of the cost per unit, which is one of the concerns that you raised. So what we did was to try and look for how much the company, the manufacturing company itself, CAPEC, how much they sell it internationally. Now, if you go to Amazon, in fact, they have some of the products there. In fact, this particular product that we are purchasing, they have it on Amazon. And you can see on the screen, and I'm showing this so we could all verify. This is the Amazon website, and you can see that this particular math set, you see and exactly the way it's been described. It's transparent. It has both a calculator, it has the mathematical instruments in it, and it comes with a time feature on the surface. Now, it's being sold, as you can see on the screen on Amazon, for £12.99. So it's £12.99 on Amazon. If you use today's rate, exchange rate, let's use 13 pounds, that gives you 93 CDs. 93 CDs. That's how much it's sold out there on Amazon. Now, Mr. Okudito Blackwell, on that particular cost question, if they're selling it to us at 75 CDs a unit, isn't that fair deal, considering that it's being sold on Amazon, that's the evidence we found, for the equivalent of 93 CDs? Considering that we're giving them tax waivers, they're selling it to us cheaper than they sell on the open market. What do you say to that?
So there are a number of concerns that we have about this analysis. We also did this analysis. One, you have the government of Ghana deciding to deal with an intermediary, a company called Messrs. Bluegrass, that is claiming to be the local representatives of CAPEC. There is no evidence, and we reached a roadblock. Our government did not deal with CAPEC directly. You are a sovereign. You are the government of Ghana. If you had dealt with CAPEC directly, without the middleman who, remember, is not Father Christmas, he is also going to have his own markup and is going to make some profit. If we had dealt with CAPEC directly, we conclude that the price will be far lower. Now, the analysis that you do when you look at the market price on Amazon, remember that it includes shipping, and that is the cost of one item. Now, we are buying as much as 853,009 units. So, in these matters, the more you are buying at wholesale rates, the prices are to be far lesser. The prices must be different. And Evans, I'm sure you get the point I'm making. You would not, if you're buying a bulk purchase, it is entirely different, especially when with the unit price, the 12.99 pounds on Amazon. Remember that includes taxes, it includes shipment. In the case of Ghana, this government of Ghana deal, taxes are out. There are tax waivers that have been granted, and this is a bulk purchase. We believe that we could have gotten it far less, especially when Nigeria dealt directly with the company, with CAPEC.
Yeah,
our research indicates that Nigeria
Hello, this is Evans. You called me about the alarm to my
with the company. And that is why we are of the view that Ghana could have gotten a far better deal if we had cut out the intermediary and dealt directly with CAPEC, as Nigeria did. And Nigeria has been doing that for at least some 3 consecutive years as we speak.
Oh, but Mr. Blackwell, I mean, looking at that though, there's a difference of 18 CDs. I mean, it's 18 CDs cheaper to us. And my question is, doesn't that account for the other elements you mentioned? I mean, they are not selling it to us the same way they sell it outside. I mean, on the market, the open market. Doesn't that at least account for the fact that we've given them the waivers? I mean, it must count for something that is cheaper out there than it is to us per unit.
It doesn't count for much. Remember the point we have made that if you were dealing with CAPEC directly without an intermediary, you have an opportunity there to further drive down the cost. That's one. Two, if you ensure that you negotiate more robustly with the company directly, as Nigeria has done. When you are purchasing so many, more than 800,000 units, we could have got a far better deal.
Yeah, but
we insist.
But 18 cities cheaper. Isn't that a better deal? A far better deal. 18 cities.
Look, I mean, if you look at other brands on the market, take the mathematical instruments that are being sold, and I buy them always. I mean, for students in my constituency, the most expensive you will see, Evans. That's just the mathematical set. The most expensive on the market. It's not in excess of 12 CDs. It's not in excess of 12.
But this one comes with this one comes with a calculator and a time and it's transparent as well.
And I have seen the specs for this calculator.
Yeah.
It's a basic calculator, very basic. I mean, you can get mathematical instruments even for 5 CDs, for 7 CDs. I am telling you that in a bulk purchase, in an arrangement such as this, Ghana could have gotten far better a deal than we are getting now. And remember that you are having all of these tax waivers that we are granting. These companies, Michelle's Bluegrass, is going to make quite a killing. I mean, if you look at the tax waiver stats that we are dealing with, Evans, in 2010, Parliament approved about 392 million Ghana cedis in tax waivers. By 2018, that figure had gone up to 4.6 billion. So from 0.6% of GDP to 1.6% of GDP. And the point we are making, the minority, is that we cannot continue this way.
Yeah, and I'll come. I want to reserve some time. I want to reserve some time to talk about
funds we can use for development.
Yes, I want to reserve some time to talk about the numerous tax waivers, because definitely it's an issue to be interrogated. I want to bring in your colleague, Anthony Fa, member of the Finance Committee. They looked into this and they approved it. Mr. Fa, let's start with that controversial point about the unit cost, 75 cedis to Ghana. Now, the minority position is that because we did sole sourcing, there hasn't been a value for money audit done on this. We are possibly, in fact, they categorically say that we could have gotten this far cheaper. I have pointed out to Ms. Okudeto Ablakwa, based on a simple search we did, trying to find out how much a unit is sold on the market. We found that it is sold, they sell it, I mean, Capex sells it on Amazon for £13, which comes down to 93 cedis. So that's 18 cedis cheaper. They're selling it to Ghana 18 cedis cheaper than they will sell it on the international market. But in the absence of a value for money audit, the minority still has a point, don't they? That you can never know for sure how much less you could have secured it for and save the taxpayer a bit more.
Well, Evans, thank you very much, and good evening to our listeners. Evans, you just check the price per unit. You check the price per unit, and you got about £13. If you check the price of the same units on eBay, you could get as much as £24.99, almost £25. And £25 works up to about 185 cedis per unit, which is about 2.5 times what has been offered to Ghana. Now, I would like to make this point strongly, that Parliament should not assume, and particularly the minority, should not assume that the West Africa Exams Council and that the Minister of Education do not know what they are doing. I think we should make that point very, very clear. Almost every decision of any government institution is challenged. You say that it'd be better, but there are people there, there are boards, there are serious consultations. And so for them to assume that the people did not do a good job, I think begs the question. To the best of their ability, this is the price that they got. And Evans,
I mean, am I hearing you say, am I hearing you say just because the Education Ministry and GS have come up with some figures, we should just accept it because we should trust that these figures are right without a value for money audit?
I'll get to the point. No, I'll get to the point that price determination is not given by one person, and that there were serious consultations between the business itself, the Bluegrass, Ghana Education Service, and the West Africa Exams Council. I don't think they had only one meeting and agreed on 75. They might have checked the prices on the market. And I'm saying, on eBay, if you were to buy a unit, it's going for 24.99 as at this evening. So sincerely, my point of view is that the minority may have a point of view regarding the possibility of having a better deal, but that they should not discount how much effort went into the price determination.
Mr. Faba, where's the value for money report on this? That gives us this, solves this puzzle conclusively without any shadow of doubt. Where is it? I have read your report. I didn't see it in it.
Let's read the approval by the PPA, and I would like to make reference to paragraph 3 of the PPA approval. And I would like to read. It says that references were made to previous communications, and it says that at the board technical committee meeting of 2nd April, the board decided that upon submission of satisfactory information as requested by the authority, PPA may proceed to convey approval to the Minister of Education.
Do I still have you? Okay, I think I've lost him there. He was making a substantive point on what the PPA says, because the other key challenge or issue that has come up is the procurement issues. PPA itself approved the sole sourcing. We'll interrogate that because there's some very interesting information I'd like to share with you, again, on the research we did trying to purchase some of these assets ourselves. There's a huge amount of money involved there. I want to take a quick break. When I return, I would interrogate the bit about the procurement. I will also show you what we ourselves found when we attempted to buy significant quantities of this particular mass set, and what that says about the approach that both the finance and the education ministry has adopted in procuring the mass sets for the WAEC examination. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. A conversation about the procurement of mass sets worth an estimated 63 million CDs for the WAEC examinations that are going to be written by the students who are currently in school in the midst of the COVID-19 controversy, and all this controversy over the process to purchase and procure the mass sets for them to use in the examinations. Mr. Fa, we lost you briefly. I still have with me Samokudita Blakwa also. Mr. Fa, you were making a point about what the procurement authority said when they were written to approve a sole source for this.
Yeah, I was saying that the decision on price is not determined by any one of them, but there were a series of consultations that went on.
I can hear you.
There were a series of negotiations that went on. So to agree on the 7 to 5, probably it's a deal. It's a good deal for us. And I would like to make reference to the contract, and I have a copy here, page 11. And if I should read that, apart from the supply of the material, the scientific mathematical instruments, there are incidental services that the supplier will have to provide. And I would like to read a couple.
Okay.
If you look at clause 13.1, and this comes at a cost to the provider, it says that the supplier may be required to provide any or all of the following services, including additional services if any. And I'll read: 1, performance or supervision of on-site assembly and or startup of the supplied goods. So there is this additional incidental service of assembling the items on site.
But Ms. Antonia, this particular mass set requires absolutely no assembly. It comes, it's a set. You just have to open it and use it. Like before, you used mass set before.
I know, I haven't finished. I'm saying that they have incidental services in addition to this. And once these are captured in the contract, then they have to come with value. Have you seen the contract, Evans?
Yeah,
I have the contract in my hands, Evans. I haven't seen it.
I've read your report.
Let me read a couple of them. It says that
Mr. I'm listening.
Yeah, it says, for example, that the supplier also has to train the purchasers' personnel at the supplier's plants and or on site. So there's some element of training of the supplier's personnel. Then it also talks about the supplier may be required to provide spare parts. Manufactured or distributed by the supplier. So we are looking at more than the item that is compact and presented, but there are incidental services, and there's also the need for the supplier to provide spare parts. So if you look at the contract, all these come at a cost, additional cost to the pricing. I am not arguing for whether or not 75 cedis per unit is right or it's wrong. No, but what I'm saying is that some work went into the determination of the price. It was not a give or take situation. Now, if the PPA has approved sole sourcing, then I was reading the PPA approval, and I would like to read the second part of it. It says, permit me to read it.
Yeah, whilst you look for it, I want to bring in Mr. Okudzeto Blakwa. Mr. Blakwa, what do you say to his argument from the contract? No, just a second. I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you on this. Mr. Blakwa, what do you say to his argument that from the contract, that there's value to the additional post-delivery services that the contractor will have to perform, and that may have also contributed to the cost per unit?
Let's be very, very sincere. You see, there are objective ways, empirical ways of going about these matters, regardless of what the contract says, a copy of which I also have obtained. Look, this is such a simple, very basic mathematical set. It is going to be just delivered. If you look at the terms of the contract, it's just procure and deliver. That's what Messrs. Bluegrass is doing. They're only going to procure and deliver. They are not assembling. They are not going to carry out any superior service. They're just going to procure this and hand it over to the Ministry of Education and WAEC for them to distribute through their senior high schools. It's so simple, so basic. Look, the empirical, objective way of going about this, which is what we always demand in Parliament, is a value for money audit. There was no value for money conducted on this transaction. Look, if you go to the market now, Hawford mathematical set is going for 5 Ghana cedis. Marshall's is going for 7 Ghana cedis. Nataraj, the most expensive, is going for 12 Ghana cedis.
Do they have calculators?
If you add the calculator, we are told that this is quite a basic scientific calculator because they don't want students to cheat. They don't want sophisticated calculators that they would not then be required to go through the various formulas, step by step, because all of that will have to be accounted for. So very basic calculator, and you attach that calculator to the basic mathematical set, which we should be getting, a far better deal. And we in the minority insist that we miss an opportunity when, one, we opted for sole sourcing, and we are not convinced. The Public Procurement Authority claimed that there was some agency about this. We are not convinced.
But there is urgency. I mean, the WAEC examinations are just a few weeks away. I mean, procuring
the committee's own report. They tell us that the Ministry of Education has been engaged in a discussion over the last 3 years. So their own report exposes them. The committee's own report. So you have had time. It's not as though you just woke up last week and realized that you needed to make mathematical sets available to final year students. So that claim about urgency is neither here.
Let's interrogate this sole sourcing argument. Mr. Efa, I mean, why you're procuring something as basic as a math set? Why do you use sole sourcing? There are 101 math set providers and suppliers across this country and across the continent and the South region. Mr. Efa, I think you've muted your. We can't hear you. You've muted your.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm on the line now.
Yes, we can hear you. Go
yeah. As to why we chose these routes, it's not for me to answer. But what's important is whether or not the Public Procurement Authority was satisfied with their request to go that route. And I would like to read a certain paragraph which says that at the tender committee meeting of Friday, 5th April, the board decided that upon submission of satisfactory information as requested by the authority, PPA may proceed to convey approval to ministry. Then it reads to say that the additional information submitted has been reviewed and found satisfactory. This is PPA's letter dated 16 May 2019. Accordingly, and in line with Section 40 of Act 663 as amended, we convey approval to Ministry of Education to use the single source procurement method to engage Mercedes Bluegrass Group Limited. PPA has approved the process because Ministry of Education made their arguments. And Evans, let's also look at the amount. 63.9 million or 64 million cedis works to the region of anything 10, 11, 12 million dollars of purchase.
Yeah.
And if this company, Bluegrass Group, is the local supplier of this particular brand, and they are getting it straight from the factory, the manufacturer, at 10 to 12 million dollars.
I think we've lost him again. Obviously, the challenges with the data. COVID-19 brings its own challenges, of course. We've always had to do this remotely, but challenges with network, always a challenge with holding up a conversation. Now, the point that he's making there about the procurement, though, is something that we've been trying to interrogate. And he's mentioned Mrs. Bluegrass Company Limited. That is become the agent through which we are getting the KPEC calculators and MathSet, which is a combined piece. We checked, we went to the KPEC website, and it appears that you could garner somebody sitting at the Education Ministry, the procurement unit there, once the processes have been satisfied, could have simply gone onto the website and made an order directly to the KPEG and would have received the supply of whichever quantities that we required. In fact, you can see on the screen, if you go to the KPEG website, and this is a KPEG website, by the way, you click on style, and then it tells you what style you want, and then you can choose what you want. And from there, you can see non-detachable calculator with timer, which is what we're using, which is what we have procured. What color do you want? You can select that. What logo do you want? You can put on the WAEC logo there, which is what we've had. And then it asks you quantity. Of course, we know the quantity that we are procuring is 800,000 plus mass sets. You simply put that there. And then you go on to put in your name. You put in your name, you put in your phone number, you put in your address, you put in your company name, and in this case, I guess Mrs. Bluegrass Company Limited would have put in their name in there. You put in the job title, you put in your email address, and then you put in your shipping address into it. And then you click send. As you see, we are filling on the television for you. You click send, and once you click send, it tells you, it gives you an immediate reply, which says, "Thank you for your order. A member of our sales team will be in touch shortly." And it's done, really. From there on, you've placed the purchase, they get in touch with you, and you can get whatever order you need with branded, whatever you want. So it begs the question, why somebody at the education ministry couldn't have simply done this, and we must necessarily go through another entity to make the purchase when the website is as simple as that. It took us less than 2 minutes to do this. Mr. Fa, are you with me? Mr. Fa, are you with me?
I am with you, Evans.
Did you follow?
Yes, I am with you.
You can see this on your screen, can you?
I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
So why, that's the question. Why did we have to go through a private company when we could have simply started the education ministry and placed the order?
No, that is not as simple as that. You can use that that page if you were ordering 10, 12, 20 pieces. You are looking at more than 800,000 pieces.
I am sorry, but from
$10 million transaction.
But from the website, the website
need a contract.
No, but I'm just a second. The website doesn't limit how the quantity you are purchasing. It just says number. You just put whatever number there, and it says to you that a sales team member will get in touch with you. So we could have done this ourselves.
No, you see, the contract gives some remedies to the buyer, the purchaser. And for this quantity, if you don't have a contract, the supplier is supposed to provide you with a bank guarantee, 10% the value, 10% the value. And you should have that comfort that there's a bank providing a guarantee on behalf of the supplier for that quantity for a $10 million transaction, Evans. I will not go and do that. Then if you read the contract again, I have a copy here. There's a reference to supplying to specifications, Otherwise, you go there and then you take anything and you pay $10 million away. I think this is a better route, where there were consultations not only between the Minister of Education and WAEC, but the Minister of Education, WAEC, some government institutions, and other members of the West Africa Exam.
I think we've lost him again, but I have Samokudu Tablakwa with me. Mr. Kudu Tablakwa, what's your reaction to that? I mean, couldn't you have done this ourselves? Did we need an intermediary to go to CAPEC?
Evans, I must highly commend you for your work. You and the team at Multimedia have done a fantastic job. And this is a point we made in Parliament. The minority insisted that government could have dealt directly with CAPEC. There was really no need to use an intermediary. And we insisted that if you look at what other WAEC member countries had done, dealing directly with the company, we could have done the same. We could have negotiated better, and we could have gotten a far better deal. We also made a point that, look, I mean, this is so basic. You have companies all over the world, Africa, Europe, America, who are engaged in producing. This is not some sophisticated military asset or intelligence hardware that has some special patents. It's so basic. It's simple. So we could just have engaged directly. That is, if we are even refusing to grow Ghanaian industry and get Ghanaian companies to do this. Look, what is so sophisticated about a ruler? What are the contents of these mathematical sets? Ruler, compass. I mean, it's basic, and it's what, plastic, some basic iron ore. All of this we have in terms of the raw material needed. We have them here that we could have used, and we decide that we will import them. And even in deciding to import them, we then go for sole source. There's a single tendering process, and the PPA also grants approval. And this PPA continuously has been letting us down. The reason why the PPA was set up was to serve as the quality assurance institution that will stem the tide of bureaucrats sitting in their office and deciding that they, per their own discretion, they will just, abuse discretion and opt for sole sourcing at random, at will, without any fetter. That's why the PPA was established. But the PPA consistently is letting us down.
I want to bring in Mr. Fai again, just finally. Mr. Fai, just in a minute. So this has been approved by the House, and just clarify for me, at the committee level, did the minority side support and back the report? Because the report recommends its complete approval. What was it? Just a minute, because I need to wrap up.
Yeah, if you read the report, the conclusion, it's here, and I'll read it. It was unanimous. Let me read it. The committee therefore recommends the House to adopt its report and approve the request for waiver. There was no dissenting view. All of us agreed at the committee, having looked at the contract, having looked at the memorandum to Parliament, having looked at the cabinet approval, having looked at the PPA approval, and having looked at the waiver being the responsibility of Parliament, when you look at Article 174 of the Constitution, we all agreed at the committee level that this has to pass, and that it should even be urgent so that our students could have this equipment
for the WAEC examinations, which starts in a few weeks. Okay, I'm grateful that you joined me, sir. We just run out of time. Mr. Okuduta Blacko also. Well, as we approach that all-important WAEC examinations, a lot still has to be dealt with, including this particular one. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you next week.